When you step into public view, every single thing you do sends a message about who controls the situation, you or everyone else around you. Most people destroy their own reputation without realizing it. They don't fail because of some big dramatic conflict, but because of small, quiet moments that happen every day. Right now, we're going to discover the same warnings that Machiavelli gave centuries ago. These are 9 deadly errors that will ruin your reputation if you make them in front of others. If you want people to respect you, take you seriously, and never see you as weak, you must avoid these mistakes at all costs. I am here to teach you what Machiavelli understood. It is not about what you should do. It is about what you must absolutely never do. If you want to control your life like a leader instead of being destroyed like a fool, pay attention to these 9 rules. But before we dive in, if you into self-growth, mindset, and building real inner strength, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. Rule 1. Never let your feelings show, not when you in public, not when people are watching, not even when everything in your life is falling apart right in front of you. When you around powerful people or trying to gain power yourself, showing emotion doesn't make people admire you. Instead, it gives them ammunition to use against you. Every time you look worried, every time your voice shakes, every time you sigh or jump when something startles you, people notice all of it. They figure out what it means, and then they use that information to hurt you later. The guy who shows his feelings in front of a crowd thinks he is being real and honest. But being honest about your emotions, is actually a good thing. It is a huge risk you retaking with your reputation. Here is what you need to understand. Public places aren't safe spaces where people support each other. They like gladiator arenas, and you're either the fighter with the weapons or the one getting torn apart. Showing your emotions without thinking about it makes you easy to predict. And if people can predict how you react, you've already lost the game. This world doesn't give rewards to people who are completely honest about their feelings. It gives rewards to people who think strategically about everything they do. The people who stay in control of their facial expressions and body language are the ones who control how others see them. The person who stays calm, keeps their composure, and doesn't let others read their thoughts easily, that person becomes mysterious. And when you mysterious, you have power. What scares people more? Someone whose thoughts and feelings you can read like an open book, or someone who keeps their thoughts locked away where you can to access them? Let weak people believe that crying in public makes them courageous. Let foolish people think that having breakdowns where everyone can see will make others feel sorry for them. You need to do the exact opposite. When you absolutely furious inside, smile on the outside. When someone attacks you, speak in a calm, gentle voice. When your heart feels like it is being ripped apart, keep your face completely neutral. Rule 2. Never get into loud arguments where other people can see and hear you. The second you start raising your voice beyond what is reasonable, you've given up all your power in that situation. Men often think that being dominant means being the loudest person in the room. They believe that if they yell louder than the other guy, they automatically win the argument. But people who shout in the streets, in office buildings, in front of their friends, or in front of strangers are actually showing everyone that they can to control their emotions. And being able to control yourself is the foundation of being able to control anything else. The person who shouts is trying to convince everyone around them that they right. But truly powerful people don't need to convince anyone of anything. Their power speaks for itself. Getting loud in public gives away too much information about you. It shows people what makes you proud, what makes you feel insecure, and exactly how much pressure it takes before you lose your cool. In those heated moments, you basically handing over a detailed map of all your weak points. The people watching aren't really paying attention to the actual argument or who is making better points. They were watching how you handle the pressure. They forget what the fight was about, but they'll remember that you couldn't keep yourself together. You become predictable in your anger, predictable in what sets you off, and predictable in what you're proud of. Real control isn't about dominating other people. It is about dominating yourself. The man who has to raise his voice in front of others has already lowered his reputation in front of everyone. Rule 3. Never show desperation. Not in the way you walk, not in the way you talk, not even in your silence. Desperation has a smell to it. The desperate person himself usually can detect it, but everyone around him can smell it immediately. It comes through in every movement you make, every request you make, and every time you try to impress someone. Once people pick up on your desperation, the way they see you changes instantly. You stop being someone they respect, and you become someone they can use for their own benefit. When you ask for something too eagerly, people will say no. It's not because they can help you, but because your obvious need makes you less valuable in their eyes. Whether you dealing with politics, trying to date someone, or negotiating a business deal, the person who seems desperate is seen as someone who doesn't have other options, doesn't have any leverage, and doesn't have much worth. People watch him closely, they figure him out completely, and then they throw him aside like garbage. When you in public, you have to act like you don't really need anything, like no opportunity, no person, and no result is absolutely necessary for you to survive. The second people pick up on the fact that you desperately need something, they start playing games with you, and you start becoming smaller and less important. You need to understand something important about how people work. People are naturally attracted to confidence, even when that confidence is completely fake. They want to follow people who walk around like they could just leave anytime they wanted to. They have respect for people who seem like they in complete control of their decisions, even when those people are actually drowning inside. Rule number 4. Never give too many compliments or spend too much time kissing up to people. In this big show we call public life, the person who is always flattering others is never truly respected. People just put up with them, and everyone is always suspicious of their real motives. Most guys think that saying nice things will help them get what they want. They believe that if they give enough praise, smile enough, and bow down enough, important doors will open for them. But powerful people aren't attracted to servants and people who kiss up to them. Actually, it has the opposite effect. It pushes them away. The person who compliments too much, too easily, and too obviously in front of everyone is sending a signal that they're weak. And once you show weakness, people just forget about it and move on. When you praise someone way too often, it starts to smell bad. Not because people think you really admire them, but because they can tell you, reusing some kind of strategy. People start to sense that you putting on an act with your words. They start wondering, what does this guy really want from me? And once people start questioning what you really after, your reputation takes a hit. Not only do people see you as fake, they also see you as someone who is playing games, someone who is trying to manipulate others, someone who uses compliments like they bribes to get what they want. Even worse than that, when you give someone too many compliments in public, you basically putting yourself below them. You lifting them up higher while you pushing yourself down lower in front of everyone who is watching. This might not seem like a big deal at first, but in the game of who is more important than who, even a small act of bowing down gets remembered by everyone. Rule number 5. Never criticize someone openly, not when you in public, not where crowds of people can hear you, not where your insult will keep echoing around long after you left the scene. When you publicly criticize another person, you basically declaring war on them without getting prepared for battle first. It feels good in that moment. It feels righteous, bold, sharp, and decisive. But the crowd never forgets the show you just put on for them. And the person you just attacked definitely doesn't forget it either. Every public insult, every sharp comment, every correction you make while other people are watching and listening doesn't just hurt someone's ego. It wounds their pride. And pride is the most dangerous thing you can mess with because it doesn't heal over time. Instead, it starts making plans to get back at you. Rule number 6. Never try to be the funniest person in the room. The court jester might entertain the king and his guests, but he never gets to sit on the throne himself. There's something dangerous and tempting about making other people laugh. You get a moment where you feel charming, a quick flash of attention, and a rush of feeling like people accept you. But what feels like you reconnecting with people is actually eating away at your reputation and status. The more they laugh at your jokes, the less seriously they take you as a person. You become too familiar to them, too predictable, and too harmless. And when in the world of powerful people, being harmless means you worthless. When you force humor and try too hard to be funny, you basically sabotaging yourself. The man who desperately needs people to like him, who's constantly trying to entertain others, is trading away his dignity just to hear the sound of people clapping their hands. Sure, they might laugh, but they laughing at you, not with you. They not laughing because they respect you or because they afraid of you. They laughing because you entertaining them. And entertainers are people you can easily replace and throw away when you get bored of them. Rule number 7, never share too much about your personal life. Never share too much about your personal life. Your pain, your plans, and your past. These things are not meant to be public offerings that you give to everyone. They are either sacred weapons that you can use strategically, or they are silent vulnerabilities that can be used against you. Most people think that being open and honest creates real connections with others. They believe that if they reveal more about themselves, they will earn people's trust, get sympathy from others, and feel like they belong somewhere. But the general public is not your friend. The public is like a mirror that has a perfect memory. Whatever you give to the world, it keeps and saves for later use. The things you share because you trust someone today might get turned around and used to betray you tomorrow. Every single detail you tell people, the heartbreak you dealing with, the regrets that still eat at you inside, the dreams and goals you whispered about, is like ripping a page out of the armor that protects your inner self. Being mysterious creates authority and respect. Being too familiar makes people look down on you. And every single time you share too much personal information, you giving away a piece of your kingdom, one sentence at a time. Rule number 8, never show off your wealth or how successful you are. When you parade your good fortune around for everyone to see, you actually inviting people to quietly rebel against you. When you brag about your high status, you recalling silent assassins to come after you. Most men believe that displaying their success will make people admire them. But admiration from other people changes quickly and can to be trusted. What you usually wake up in people's eyes and praise and respect. Instead, it is resentment and bitterness. The more you show off what you own and have accomplished, the more you remind everyone else about what they've done, to have in haven, to achieve. And jealousy doesn't announce itself out loud. Instead, it makes secret plans. Real power doesn't scream and shout about itself. It makes a quiet humming sound. People feel it rather than seeing it displayed like a show. The leader who understands how people's minds work knows this important fact. Being subtle about your success is what kings and real leaders do. The man who walks around with quiet confidence, whose wealth is suggested rather than displayed, gets more curiosity and more respect from others. Because what stays hidden makes people want to know more. What gets paraded around invites people to judge and criticize you. The smart man keeps his power covered up like it is behind a veil. He understands that pretending to be modest is a better protection than having any bodyguard. Because once you make other people feel like they beneath you, they will find a way, quietly and patiently, to bring you back down to their level. And they attack you when you ready and expecting it. They'll strike when people admire you the most and when your guard is completely down. Rule number 9. Never lose control of your body or voice. You already communicating with people even before you open your mouth to say a single word. The world starts reading you and figuring you out long before it ever hears what you have to say. Every time your eye twitches, every time you slouch your shoulders, every time you stutter or to sit still. These are messages you sending without speaking, and they actually louder than anything that comes out of your mouth. Once people in the crowd pick up on uncertainty in the way you hold yourself, they stop believing you have any real authority. No matter what words you end up saying. A person who can control their own body and actions definitely can control other people. You might have all the right ideas. You might have the smartest arguments anyone has ever heard. You might have the most brilliant plan that has ever been thought of. But if your hands are shaking when you try to explain these things, people in the crowd want to remember how smart your logic was. Instead, they remember how weak you looked. They remember that your voice was cracking, that your shoulders were hunched over, and that you looked like you weren't too sure about anything. And power never, ever looks unsure about itself. You need to understand this basic truth. Being dominant doesn't to start when you take action. It starts with how you present yourself just by being there. Your body has to communicate confidence before you even start talking. The way you walk into a room has to show more confidence than your speaking voice does. Even when you are not saying anything, your silence needs to have impact and meaning. People who are in charge understand how powerful it is to stay completely still and composed. They understand how threatening it can be when someone stays calm and collected. The person who is impossible to read, who talks slowly, stands up straight, and never lets their energy level drop or spike. That person absolutely terrifies people who depend on getting emotional reactions out of others. When you in public, staying in control is the most important thing you can do. When someone attacks you, don't flinch or jump back. When someone insults you, don't give them any reaction at all. When someone tries to test you and see how you respond, make your breathing slower, not faster. The moment you let your voice get higher in pitch, the moment you start breathing quickly, the moment your eyes start looking around frantically, you've already handed your opponent a huge advantage over you. Now they know exactly what it takes to break you down. Your body needs to be like an extension of your power, not something that gives away your secrets and weaknesses. The greatest leaders throughout history weren't always the people who talked the loudest, but they were always the people who stayed the calmest under pressure. And when you calm, you can think clearly and make calculations. When you still and composed, you have real strength. When you silent, you have complete control over the situation. You walking around among dangerous people who are like wolves. Every time someone looks at you, they making a judgment about you. Every word that comes out of anyone's mouth is calculated for a specific purpose. Every movement and gesture is a test to see how you respond. Real power to build through big, impressive speeches or dramatic actions that everyone notices. Instead, it gets carved out silently in the way you carry yourself when the world is watching you. And the world is always watching you, every single day. Most people expose their weaknesses not because they confess them or admit them out loud, but because they are careless about the small things. Maybe they laugh at the wrong time or in the wrong way. Maybe they give a compliment that sounds too desperate. Maybe they have an uncontrolled reaction to something. In those small moments that seem harmless and unimportant, they give up their position of power without ever realizing they had that position in the first place. A true leader doesn't beg anyone for anything. He doesn't show off or brag about what he has. He doesn't try to entertain people or make them laugh. And he never feels like he needs to explain himself or his actions to anyone. Instead, he watches everything that is happening around him. He controls his own actions and reactions. He keeps information and emotions to himself. He doesn't do this because he is scared, but because he is wise and understands how the world really works. What you just learned, Aaron, just rules about being polite or having good manners. These are laws that determine whether you survive and thrive, whether you dominate your situation, and whether you master how people see you in a world that punishes weakness. This world doesn't punish weak people with swords and violence. It punishes them with silence, disrespect, and dismissal. So the next time you step out where the public can see you, remember this: your reputation is like armor that protects you. Your silence is like a sword you can use as a weapon, and your image is like a kingdom that you rule. The choice is yours. Will you protect and rule your kingdom, or will you be destroyed by people who never once showed you how dangerous they really are? Rate yourself 1 to 10 on emotional control in public. What is your biggest weakness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. There are more videos on this channel that will help you become a better version of yourself.